All right. Hello everyone and happy Tuesday. And thank you for tuning in to a Career Tip Tuesday. I am your host, Sherry Sims, founder of Black Career Women's Network. It has been a while since we have been live here in LinkedIn. So I'm so glad to be back. So glad to be back. Hope everyone is doing well. Want to be able to share with you that today is Black Women's Payday, okay? Equal pay day at that. Black Women's Equal Pay Day. So I'm going to be sharing some tips during Career Tip Tuesday today to talk about Black Women's Equal Pay Day and some of the things that you can do as a Black female in the workplace to advocate for yourself when it comes to your salary. And really educating yourself on these things as well. I think salary negotiation, understanding all of those things can sometimes be intimidating to some women when it comes to this, but we're here to help you to get comfortable with that process and teach you how to speak up for yourself and really understand what it means to be advocating for yourself in the workplace. So I am going to be just waiting a few minutes for some people to hop on and join us here. And as you come on, or you can let us know where you are tuning in from, that would be great. I know that we are live on LinkedIn. We're also live in Facebook as well. And so just want to make sure that we are making sure that we are that we are live in both places. I'm going to double check and make sure that we are. Going to check now.
Just a quick late night thought as I'm reflecting on a panel.
Hey, did you know that when you run I know we've got all that good stuff. Guess we're live, right? We got that going on. Okay. All right, good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start out with on Black Equal Women's Equal Pay Day. Again, I'm your host, Sherry Sims, founder of Black Careers Network. So glad to be back. I know it has been a while since we've been on. Hey, LinkedIn user tuning in from Atlanta. Glad you are here with us. Want to be able to start talking about some of the tips that we have in terms of Black helping women to advocate for themselves in the workplace. So let's go ahead and get right into it. First one is to know your worth. What is important about understanding and knowing your worth when we think about salary negotiation, it's already intimidating enough to ask for what we want. For some people, some women are good at this, they're very savvy at it. But then other times that we are not comfortable with that. But what the whole most important thing is, number one, to know our worth. How we identify what our worth is, that's individual. That's individual. But what I can do is give you a little bit of a couple of things that, from a tangible standpoint, to think about when you're talking about knowing your worth from a perspective of your professional career, what you bring to the table and what that looks like, right? So if you think about knowing your worth from that perspective when you're asking for an increase in your salary, or if you're negotiating an initial offer, the whole thing to look at is, how long, what kind of expertise or subject, are you a subject matter expert in the role that you are that you're currently working or looking to obtain? How long have you been in the industry, looking at your market? And we're going to break down some of those things. And then I also want you to look at, what is your special sauce? What uniquely makes you? What are some of the things that you do within your role or within the industry that make you unique or stand out, or even just make you confident to know that you do it in a way that no one else does, or do it in a way that brings you the impactful results that you're looking for? So maybe that's it. I always say that we all have unique gifts, even though they may not stand out to some people, but there's still two people can do the same thing, but you may do it in a way that really has more of an impact than someone else. So think about that way, is that what are your gifts and talents, and how are those gifts and talents impacting others as well? So that's where I would start with that. So the next one that we're going to look at is going to be our number 2 is educate yourself. You have to educate yourself when it comes to salary negotiation. You have to know, and we're going to break down what those things look like, but you definitely want to educate yourself as number 2 when it comes to understanding knowing your worth and what your salary negotiation is all about. And then number 3 is keeping track of your achievements. During the year, you should have a book. I don't care what that book looks like. It could be like a little small book like this, something where you are keeping track of everything that you're accomplishing during the year. And so that way, depending on if you have a mid-year performance review, or if you have a a annual performance review. You have kept track of everything that you've accomplished, whether it was goal related for the goals you already set, or if it was things outside of your goals that you've already accomplished that were already written down that you've accomplished in addition to. Those are additional things that you could also add to your list of accomplishments for what you've done so far for the year or mid-year, whatever that may look like for you. All right. Number 4 is when you negotiate, you want to negotiate with confidence. Okay. Negotiate with confidence. You want to make sure that it's okay for you to feel a certain way, especially if you're new to this, you're not sure exactly what you should be saying, how you should be positioning yourself, how do you even start the conversation, or what that looks like. So you want to make sure that you do it with confidence. How you gain the confidence, how you become assertive, doing your homework, educating yourself, right? And understanding what it means to negotiate a salary. And we're going to talk about what do those things look like in order for you to do that. All right. So that's the first thing you want to make sure you ensure that you're doing correctly. All right. The next one is, when should I negotiate salary? Because people are like, yeah, this is cool, but when do I negotiate a salary? Okay, there's a couple of things that you can do in terms of when you should negotiate salary. All right. The first thing you should do when you negotiate your salary is thinking about these 3 things, or 4 things actually. You can negotiate your salary to an initial job offer. Okay. An initial job offer is, of course, there's a lot of different now you cannot ask for a salary up front, but they need to be really being more transparent and sharing with you what the salary is, so you won't waste your time and waste theirs when it comes to the salary negotiation offer part. But still do your research in terms of what the market rate is paying, and we're going to break down some of those things as well. So initial job offer is when you should negotiate a salary. Also, you can negotiate your salary doing an internal job offer. Okay. A lot of women forget about that. They forget that you can, yes, Danielle, absolutely. Tracking accomplishments throughout the year, performance is gold. Now, here's the thing. You always should be, recruiters always expect for you to counter offer. Okay. I was a recruiter in talent acquisition for a long time. So I always would expect, for me, I always expect for the professional to counter offer me. Okay. A good recruiter doesn't lowball. They come in, they look at the salary range, and they come in a place to where it's going to be respectful to the candidate, but then also expect them to come a little higher. So you should always go in making sure you expect to, I always say, depending on how much they offer you, go in between anywhere between $2,000, $5,000, and $10,000 more. Now, I know some people are probably like, that's low, but it depends on your role. It depends on your level too, right? The higher up you go, the more things you can negotiate outside of salary. That's another conversation. But again, initial job offer. Now, internal job offers, that's where a lot of us forget that we have room to negotiate salary. Is that during the internal job promotion, you have an opportunity to ask for more, right? They're going to already offer you a specific an increase, but you still can ask for more than what the increase is actually offering you. So a lot of people forget that they can do that. So, but in order for you to do that, you definitely need to make sure that you know specifically what that salary range is for that role. So if they come in at the medium and you want to go a little higher, you never want to cap yourself out, because then you have nowhere to go from there. You don't want to ever get to the high end. People are like, oh yeah, the job is paying, 100 to 125 or 100 to 149, right? And you're like, oh, I want the 149. But then where are you going to go from there? So you have to think about that. Be very strategic. Now that's another conversation, but we can't talk about, don't let them cap you out, because you have nowhere to go. I'll have a LinkedIn user who says, go high, we're giving a budget. Absolutely go high, right? That's why I said you should be asking for $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 more than what they're offering. They do have a range, okay? This LinkedIn recruiter says, yes, we do. A tech recruiter is given. Absolutely. Absolutely. So always think about that internal offer. You still have room to negotiate with an internal offer. A lot of times we forget that we do have room to do that. And I know for me, I have negotiated on an internal offer before. I'm like, this is great. I know what you're asking me to do. What, I know that my, increase in responsibility and things are going to be what I'm going to be responsible for in this role. But with the current market rate and where I'm coming in at, as an internal user, maybe even based on, we're going to talk about that too, is that, you could be in a role for 10 years and someone who's coming in with less experience is coming in at a higher salary than you initially were, because now the market rate has changed and they're paying higher for the role than they did when you currently started in the role. But that's it. We're going to get to performance. We're going to get to salary evaluations and market value, those types of things. But next one is increasing responsibility. If you're having an increase in responsibility and it is equivalent to another job title within the organization, you do have the right to request for a salary evaluation to bring you up to that market rate, and maybe even changing your title if you need to, right? If any of those things, you absolutely have room to be able to discuss that. So again, don't increase your responsibility without increasing the pay, specifically if you know that those job responsibilities are equivalent to another job title. Now, some of you are probably like, well, how do I know that? Take your current role, add those additional responsibilities to that current role, Google it, see if it's coming up in salary.com or Indeed or any of the job board postings, and see what's coming up. Because if it's coming up with a completely job title, then guess what you should be doing? Going back and saying, hey, I'm currently doing the work of this, or look at what's equivalent to it in your company. What role is equivalent to that role and responsibility? Okay. If you are clear on what that is, position yourself to request that. If it's something that needs to be created, maybe propose for it to be a new role to be created. Again, but you have to go into it with being confident and being assertive and knowing your worth in order for you to position yourself that way. All right. Next thing is performance evaluation. I know we hear the 3 to 5% standard increases from performance evaluation, but again, there can be room for that. You may ask for 1.5% more. Maybe it's a dollar amount for your bonus. Who knows? But you have to think about what are the parameters and guidelines within your organization and see what kind of room you have to negotiate that. It can be done. But it all depends on where you are, what your positioning and level is. So there are things and factors to take in consideration. And then the last is market value. You want to think about your market value from perspective of, again, this goes back to, you may have been enrolled for maybe 2-3 years. Someone coming in with less experience is coming in at a higher rate than you are. Not necessarily because they don't have more experience or the education could be equivalent, but the market just pays more for your role. So you can go in and request a salary evaluation or market evaluation to bring that up, to bring your salary up to the same as the current market rate. In order for you to do that, you're going to absolutely need to make sure that you have a couple of things. You need to have justification for it. It could be your performance, the market rate, what your responsibilities are, or anything else in addition to that. I know in a role that I've had before, I was having a challenge filling these roles. It was multiple roles I had to. It was one role, but there were multiple openings, and I was having a really hard time filling these positions. And so, I went to my manager, and my leader, and said, "Hey, I'm having a challenge with filling these roles. Here is where I think where we need to change, how we're recruiting for this role. We really need to increase our salary, because what's happening is about 90% of the people are turning down this role because of the salary." Right. And so again, in order for me to bring this particular role up to a higher salary, I had to do a market evaluation, market rate analysis, say this is what this position is paying based on experience, industry experience, or different types of doing the same role, but maybe in different industries or different, lines of business, and then make it so they can be show where they consistently are, where we are like, 25, 30, below the 25 percentile when it comes to the range for the position, and then be able to bring it up. So once we did that, not only did we were hiring at a higher rate for any new hires, but we also had to bring our current employees who were at a lower rate. We had to bring all of them up to market rate who were currently in the role as well. LinkedIn user says LinkedIn gives you current industry titles. I use this to help our clients ensure the title is not an internal title, but it's also marketable. Absolutely, you're 100% right with that. And so this is where we educate ourselves as professionals in terms of understanding this market, understanding your market, right? And here's the thing too, some people who are in a role, they're excited about maybe getting an internal opportunity. Maybe they're getting a transfer from Georgia to California. And then they see, oh my God, I'm getting an increase. Yeah, you're getting an increase going from Georgia to California because cost of living is higher there. Or if you're transferring from California to Georgia or transferring to a market where the salary band may be lower, you may end up losing some salary. Or, if you get lucky and they let you keep that, that's good. But if you end up getting a decrease in salary because of the market rate for that area, you also have to consider that as well. So you have to be careful with that. Just because you're in a market with a higher band, that's a salary band, doesn't mean that you'll keep that same market rate in another city. So you have to be very smart and savvy about that too, especially for those of you who are looking to relocate. And even when you're remote, when you think about it too, because you could be working in North Carolina, but the salary band may not necessarily be coming from California where the company is based. So you have to think about those things too. All those things you have to take in consideration when it comes to your salary. So the more you can educate yourself, the more savvy you can become, confident and assertive when you come to negotiating your salary. And I always say, if you don't have relationships with a couple of recruiters, have the relationships with them, because you can always call them up or send them an email and they'll give you some tips and advice on current market trends and things that you can do. So again, it's nothing wrong with cultivating relationship with talent acquisition professionals, because they can give you some of those insights when it comes to market rates and things like that can be very helpful for you over the long run. And here's the thing too, the bigger the title, the more things you can negotiate outside of salary. And so that's what's nice about that. Even someone who is a salary employee, but you may be a director, you may not have a lot of negotiating room outside of just your actual salary. Where you have a VP or chief officer, probably can negotiate vacation time, PTO. The one thing you can't negotiate, I don't care who you are and what company you work for, you can never negotiate health benefits, because that's contractual between that company and that healthcare provider. So you can never negotiate on how much you can pay individually for your healthcare costs. That is something that I don't care what level you were at, that you can't negotiate. But yeah, I think that justification in terms of performance, market responsibilities, and other, think about that other is kind of the thing what I just talked about a little bit. In terms of things that you can negotiate. So that's something to consider. Another thing you also can negotiate is, ask if there is a a professional development budget, right? Maybe they do a lot, 600, 1200, 1500, 2000, whatever the case may be, towards your professional development goals. Maybe they will pay for your membership association, industry association, or to go to an annual conference, or maybe take a course or a training or certification. So always ask and see if that is something that is negotiable, because it's possible that you will be able to negotiate those if you can. But again, it depends on your level, and or to see, because some companies do have a standard budget for everyone, whether you have, hey, we're going to give you $300 towards professional development every year. That could be a course you could take or one class, whatever that is, right? Anything can help you to elevate and support yourself. Again, when you see that means that there is some sincerity in terms of helping you to want to grow as a professional. So I always love to see when companies offer professional development budgets, because I think they're needed, especially when you're trying to be competitive in today's job market. I think it's important to have that. All right, so let's recap. The 4 things you absolutely should be thinking about when it comes to being a Black female in the workplace and negotiating your salary, advocating for yourself, right? First, you want to know your worth. And we're not talking about your self-worth, because we all should be knowing what that is. We're talking about looking at your professional worth and what does that look like for you, and knowing what you bring to the table, who you are as a professional. What I mean by that is your professional self, your professional self, your professional identity, because we all have one. And how does that all play out into the role that you play within the organization? Educate yourself, understand salary and markets and what it is you can negotiate, what you cannot, and being confident and assertive in doing that, right? Track your achievements. This here is huge. Like I said, get your little small notebook or something where you can track those achievements and be ready to prepare for those during your mid-year or annual performance review, right? If you're someone who's new in a role and they do a 90-day check-in to see how things are going, I always say, if you're new on the job and you're within your first 90 days, find you a quick win. Find you a quick win, right? But first, assess the place, get to know the law of the land, right? Check out the characters in the workplace, assess the culture, assimilate to the culture or adapt to the culture. Don't go against the grain of your values, but you should be adapting to the culture, but making sure it's a fit, etc. But at the end of the day, find you a quick win. Something that when you have that 90-day check-in that, hey, yeah, I've been able to accomplish this within my first 90 days. If it's a role where it's a lot to take in and it's going to take you a while, because some jobs it may take a while. It may take 6 months for you really can get in there and feel comfortable and assimilate. It may take a while. Let's see. LinkedIn user says vacation is negotiable. Companies calculate as part of your salary, negotiate everything, equipment, stipends if you're remote. Yes, absolutely. Good one. I love that one. Absolutely. And like I said, everything is except for healthcare, but that recruiter is on here now. Vacations definitely are negotiable, but it also depends on your level too, which that. Cynthia says, when should this discussion be held? During the interview, or should I do my homework before? It depends. And you definitely should be doing your homework before. But if you're talking about if this is an initial job offer, do your homework before. Even with an internal offer, do your homework. Find out what the salary range is for that role that you are interviewing for, or you think you're going to be expecting an offer from internally. You should already know what that salary range is. So that way you could be positioned for where your current salary is now, because you want to know what the current salary is for that role. Look at where your current salary is now. Where's the difference? And then you're probably going to have an expectation of what you think they may come back with, but then have an expectation of what you're going to ask for. Okay. So you're welcome, Cynthia. Again, know what that role currently pays, and then we'll look at your salary, then look at the number you want to ask for, but then whatever they offer to you, then you need to make sure if it doesn't match what you're asking for, then you ask for that difference, okay, to match what you want. All right. So that's how you do that. And when it comes to internal offers, the only thing you're negotiating pretty much is the salary, right? Because you already got the benefits. That's not different, right? Unless you're like if you're the chief or the VP or something like that, there may be a little room for something different if you're moving into those roles. Other than that, that's what you're going to do. So I hope that was helpful for you, Cynthia. All right. So back to the recap, going back to tracking your achievements. Again, track those achievements. And here's the thing, be careful with tracking those achievements, because if you start to see that you have done a lot of stuff this year, you're like, wait a minute, a lot of stuff is not my job description, which you already knew, but you saw how much of it you've done. Yeah, it is probably time to look at, am I in the right role still? Or do I need to be either a new position being created, or should I be looking at another role? So again, tracking these achievements, if you're putting out too much or if it's the right amount. So that's the one thing I will say about that. And then number 4 is negotiating with confidence. You want to make sure that when you're negotiating with confidence, be assertive, be smart about it. It's okay for women to be assertive. It's okay for us to ask what we want. It's okay for us to do all the things. Okay. Don't let them tell you different. So again, be assertive, and do it with confidence. All right. Okay. Going to wrap this up. And by asking you all to get connected with us, join our network at bcwnetwork.com, or you can feel free to connect with us and join and download our app. And we do have a salary negotiation template where you can, it gives you a whole script of where you can ask for that a salary increase. It is our guide to salary negotiation for Black women. You can absolutely download our app. And then once you're in there, then you can also go to download our app. There we go. You can see it. Can't see without my lights going on over here. Probably can't see it. There we go. Download our app. And then you can go into our digital downloads, and you can download the salary guide for the Black Girls Guide to Salary Negotiation. And that will help you to learn how to prepare yourself for salary negotiations at any given time. So again, going back to knowing your worth, educating yourself, tracking your achievements, and negotiating with confidence and assertiveness is always, always hugely important. All right, I'm going to leave you again. You guys, until again, Career Tip Tuesday, we are back. We tend to take a little hiatus. Sometimes you just got to take a break and rest. You know what I'm saying? So we are back every other Tuesday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I hope you all have an amazing, amazing rest of your work week. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone.